Oh, good evening, everybody. Thanks for making it to the webinar. And it's just about time to start. So we'll maybe give another minute for people to show up, since looks like we got about 26 here right now. And then I'm going to hand it over to Doug, and he's going to talk about some cool things we can do with images. So anything that anybody can think of that they wanted to see tonight in relationship to images, or using ThumbNailer, or Doug's also going to cover a little bit about SSL, since he's pretty experienced in that area. So I guess with that said, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you, Doug. I won't even share a screen tonight. I'll just let Doug share his.
Okay, so hopefully everybody can hear us. I haven't seen anybody mention that yet. Oh, got a 1. Okay, let me share a screen. And we'll get rid of that.
Pretty screen. Doug lives in one of the most beautiful places you'd ever want to see, Vancouver, BC.
Well, thank you. So I hope everybody can see my lovely OTP site as it stands. You're all probably familiar with the clickbait image that's in the middle here, the "I'm not a robot." So really, OTP allows 2 images in the system. The first is the clickbait image, which is very important. And the second is a header image. Now, the header image belongs to the page that's in behind the overlay, and it would fit up in the top of the page. So what's nice about a header image is you can make one large enough so that it pushes all that text off the screen and basically hides it. So what you need to do is we'll just go into our Phantom here. And you know that to get your clickbait image, you're going to push the Set Clickbait Image and select whatever your button is. Where we want to go is into the Advanced Options. And in here, we have the Select Header Image, which is right here. So just like the other image, you click it, select the image you want, and then Phantom remembers which image you're going to be using. And the one thing that you might want to think about using is the little button up above here called Page Scroll. I like to use an image. Normally it's set on like this, where you've got the green showing. But I like to turn it off when I'm using a header image, so that right now, if we were to go back to this page here, you can see the page in behind. And if I start scrolling, you're seeing all the text go by. If we had an image there that was pushing the text off, I could just keep scrolling until I saw the end of the image and the text and everything else. And I don't necessarily want people to be seeing that. So by using the page scroll lock here and setting it to red, that stops any scrolling from happening on the page and behind the overlay. So if you didn't know that, it's really good to play around with all these little tools that Cliff has given us, because we can start doing some pretty neat things. How large does the image have to be to push off the text? Well, that's all up to how big you want to try and make it, and consider what size of monitors might be looking at your image. It's always a difficult thing when dealing with anything on the web, because we don't know what computers, what quality of computers our visitors are going to have. So I typically like to do one that's about 12 to 1350 pixels wide and roughly about 1450 to 1500 deep. And that usually covers most things, especially when I put the lock on. If it doesn't cover all of them, I'm happy with that. You've just got to be a little bit flexible and just know that you're going to be covering the majority of your visitors. So one of the other things that comes in is with the overlay now, Cliff has added an opacity number at the back here. Excuse me. And on one of the projects that I've just completed, I've used the number 7. And what that allows to happen is that instead of this green here on the overlay being opaque, where I can't see anything behind, it allows things to start to show through, which can give you some pretty neat effects, something that's really worth playing around with. And understand, I guess artistic flair is individual to each of us. So you've got to do what makes you feel comfortable. There's no one right or wrong way to do it. I just like to try and make something so it looks somewhat good when somebody comes. So what I did is I worked on a simple local program, or project, I should say, and I've called it, we'll call Plumber. So as you can see, I have a header image in behind, and all I did was use a simple, I think this is an awesome screenshot I've got on here, captured the web page behind. I can't scroll. As you can see, there's no scroll bar, so that image stays stationary. I've got my button in the middle here that if I click, which I'll do, it takes me right on to the client's website. And now it looks like it was what was behind. So that gives you a pretty simple idea of what you can start to do now with some of the tools that Cliff has put in here. Myself, I didn't spend a lot of time doing this. This is all pretty quick and dirty, because all you're doing is grabbing an image for the background and then finding some kind of button that you want to use here. So what program did you use for the GIF image? This one here, I just grabbed it off of Google. I just clicked in Get More Info button, animated, hit search, clicked on images, found something and put it up here. I wouldn't necessarily use that in my own campaign, but it sure made it easier. I do have a few programs that are specifically designed for creating buttons. So there's also a lot of online tools that you can use for just creating simple buttons. It doesn't need to be animated, but I just thought it showed, seeing as we've talked about animated images in the past, another way that it could be used. I would tend to also want to include, we're only talking about images today, but I would also typically want to include a video above. And a video doesn't have to be some fancy production. You could get some images from your client or on a product or on an affiliate info product that you've got and just show a few images slowly scrolling by, just like a slideshow technique. And it just gives people something a little bit more to look at. In the case of a local client like this, I might have different images showing some of the services that they provide. And using a video is kind of a nice way of doing it because it's a very light footprint for your web page. It's only got the embed code in. It still takes some time to load that up, which will add to your load time. But using something like an animated GIF, if you're not careful, if you don't have the tools to reduce the sizes of them, they can get quite large. So that's one thing I wanted to mention to you. With doing animated GIFs, typically you go from a video to the animated GIF. Make sure that in any video program you've got, and if you don't have one, go to some online video optimizer site, upload the video, and reduce it down significantly in size. You really don't want the video to be much more than 480, 640 wide. And that will help reduce the size of any animated GIF you make from that. Also keep the clip short that you're going to animate. You know, I would say keep it within under 5 seconds. 10 seconds might start making it a little bit larger. Video can be pretty large once you animate it in a GIF, but if you keep it down small and reduce the size of the video to begin with, it helps. Now, this image in the background that you see of this Buchanan's plumbing service, when I downloaded it, it was 1.4 megabytes. And although by image size today that's not very large, when you're trying to keep the size of your images small so that the pages load faster, because that is something that is becoming more and more crucial for the search engines all the time, you might want to use something. I kind of like this free service called TinyPNG, and it does both PNG and JPEG files. And I left this here to show you that it took my original image that I took of that website, which was 1.4 megabytes. And you can see on the other side, it dropped it down to 323K. And that's a significant reduction. So it really makes the speed of the page load that much faster, because an image that's as big as what you're seeing on that page can take up a lot of pixels, and that is a lot more data to come across the line. So that whole image now that you see in behind, and as you can see, it's clear and clean, just like the website was when I clicked to go to it. That was reduced by 78% by that TinyPNG. So that's a worthwhile site to remember. And you can do more than one image at a time. You just drag up to 20 images with a max of 5 megabytes each image, and then it'll zip it all up, and you can download the whole works all at once. So it's a really handy website to know about. Slideshow images would be the clickbait. Not normally, Kurt. If you put a video on the overlay, it runs as a video. So you also still have to have your clickbait image, because that's what they're going to click on. So in this case, the get more info would move down the page a little bit, and your video would fit in above it. And then it would have to click more info down here. No other questions? Good. So really, there's not much more to say about images than that. Phantom, like I say, has a few other little tools in it, like the page scroll, which stops, especially if you have this header image, from scrolling so that people can't see all the text we have below it. And setting the header image is on the advanced side. Over here, you've got your clickbait image, which you need to have so that your customers or your visitors can make it to your landing page. So if you're doing an affiliate product, you may grab a header image of the affiliate landing page. and have a little video about the product up above with your clickbait image below it, so that it sends them to the actual landing page after they're done. Any questions that anybody has about images? Pretty simple. Just try and keep the sizes of them down so that your pages remain very responsive, because that's the whole reason why we're going to the HTML pages to begin with. What was the name of the tiny site again? It's called tinypng.com. Yep, thank you, Kim. All right, well, that's about all I have to talk about with images. I guess I will pass this on to Kim now. And I need you stop sharing.
Okay.
Any tips on the video to be sure it does not slow down loading? Not much, Honor. You know, it's kind of trial and error, getting used to what you've got. If you have a video that you download, say, off of YouTube that's high def, it's going to be a pretty high resolution image. And that's when you want to use, like we just used that tiny PNG. There's many video sites that will also do the same, video optimization sites that'll do the same thing. So that's what you would want to use to bring it down to, like I say, 480 or 640 wide, which reduces the amount of data in that video significantly and is a perfect size for sitting on top of our overlays.
Can everybody see my screen?
Certainly can.
Alrighty. I don't know how many of you have played around with ThumbNailer, but it's got some really neat features in it. So I was going to go through it with you, and you can use them too for the header images like Doug just showed you. And so I'm going to start with that. So just, you want to name your campaign, and I'm going to change my images to about 1120 pixels. And then over here on the right, I'm going to select the select folder for image resize. And I'm using the travel site that I've been playing around with, showing you guys different things. I'm going to use images from it. I'll show you. It's these 4. I think it was, yeah, well, this one. You probably can't see this because it's too small, but you can see now, like this one's 897, that one's 918, and so on. So they're the different sizes. And I want them all to be a width of this 1120. And it will change the ratio, keep the ratio intact so the images won't get all wonky on you. Okay, so I'm going to select folder for image resize. Checking my registration and stuff here. It'll just be a second. It usually doesn't take this long. Probably just because I got the webinar going. come on. There we go. Okay, mine are on the desktop here. So these are the ones I'm gonna double click, open that, and this will look blank. And then you just select folder down here. Done. See how fast that was? All right, and it downloads to a folder called Thumbs, which is right here. And sometimes you'll see, sometimes you have a couple empty folders in here, but you don't need to worry about those. These are the ones I did. See, that one's now 1119, 1119, so 1120 and 1120. So I already, I also want to show you how to take those images and put the metadata in them. And so you have to have JPEGs to put metadata in them. So I went ahead earlier and I saved them as JPEGs, except for this one, so I can show you how, if you don't know how to just switch an image over to JPEG. I just opened it in Paint, and you can go up here and save as, and then click JPEG. All right, so I'm going to delete this because I don't want it anymore. Okay, now since they're all JPEGs, I can put metadata in them. Go to right click them and go to the properties and then go to details. You can see there's nothing in here. And we want to fill that up with lots of good stuff. So what I'm going to do is take some of my keywords. I got them here. And I'm also going to put in the name of my website and a couple hashtags. So you can let your imagination go on that one. So I'll just take some of these keywords, put them in here. All right, now I'm going to select the folder that I want to put the metadata in. Also, if you have pictures that have metadata in them, you can do this and it will strip out the metadata that's there and put yours in. Okay, so click on that, and again, it will look blank. Select that folder. Done. So now we can see all this. Are you able to see that? All of the keywords that we put in there, even in the comments, down here, and down here even. And each image will have different metadata in it, because it will take from what you have here and spread it out between all of your images. See, there's my hashtag, another hashtag. So if you can realize how cool it is to use this to get the search engines looking at your pictures, because you've got all this, your images and your hashtags. And I also put in there my URL to my sitemap. So that should help it along too. Okay, what I'm going to show you next is you can use a watermark for your images. You can use text, or you can, if you have a little image for your watermark, you can use that. But I am going to use the text. And one thing I want to mention is over here in this where I have the size, no matter what you're doing, even if you're working on video, you have to have a number in here or it won't work. So just pick anything and put it in there if it's not something that you need a size for. Okay, we're gonna watermark those images that we just did. Select that folder, watermark text. I'm gonna put, we are very cool. All right, I'm just gonna pick black. You show up good. You got all these colors you can use, just like our overlays. And then here you can pick your font, and I'm going to put bold, and I'm going to make it pretty big just so it shows up so you guys can see how it works. I'll click OK. And position, you got these 6 different positions. I'm going to just put her right in the middle just so we can see it. And opacity, pick about 50. Done again. And over here in the thumbnails, see there? Can everybody see that? So you can cover a lot of ground in a few steps. All right. Next, I'm going to show you how you can use a video and make thumbnails out of it. I'm going to select video, and I was looking earlier for something fun, so I come across this Lego movie, a little clip. That who doesn't like Legos? So double click that. So I selected my video. Now I'm going to click make thumbnails. I'm going to change this size. I'll just say about 850 for the thumbnail. And type. I'm going to make them JPEGs so we can stuff them with metadata. Now this step takes a few more seconds than the other ones because it's going through your video and making the clips. So it's telling you, again, it's saved to your folder called Thumbs. This is the one we did. And see how it made all the clips from that video. The video was like a minute long. And we can take all of these and do the metadata like I just showed you. You stuff the metadata in these images. Well, you can do that to all of these. Just pick this folder and it'll go through every one of these and put metadata in it. So you have different metadata for each video that you have there. And you can put, you know, your URLs in there, your sitemap URL and your raw URL and hashtag and all that good stuff. Then this little button here, download a YouTube video. You can put the URL of a video in here, and it will download it onto your desktop. And that's how I come up with I got the little video there on my desktop. Nothing to do. Okay. Now this last one, convert video to animated GIF. And it's doing something over here. It's probably getting confused because I'm making it do so many different things. I'm going to close it out and reopen it. Sorry about that, guys. Give it a few seconds. And for a video that you're going to make a GIF out of, you don't want it to be a long video. Long ones don't work too well when they're trying to do this. So, and again, you have to put an image size in here or it won't work. Or a number. Okay, I'm going to select that little video that I just did all the thumbnails from. But I hope you guys are seeing how you can use this for your Phantom sites, your headers, and your GIFs, and your clickbait. Taking a second to open up again. There we go. My desktop again. Here's my little video. Open that. Okay, and how many seconds long do I want to make this? I'm going to say 4. Okay, and select a frame rate. I like to do the 30. Done. Okay, then you can open it. There's our little GIF. Kind of like Groundhog Day for that little guy, over and over and over. All right. So that's all the features on there, and I suggest you guys play with it and just get you some images and just practice. You know, if you make a mistake, so what? Just delete it and do it again.
Just one more thing about the images. As Kim was showing with the metadata being put into the images themselves, don't forget that the actual name of the image is also something that the search engines will look at. So you don't have a lot of images on a site too. Take a little bit of time to maybe use a good keyword or two that you want to put in there. And if you really get into it, ThumbNailer could take any video on any subject and spit out a whole bunch of images for you. And you could actually use some of those as potential injects into your pages. So just another thought to sort of process in your head. You know, you could use a nice image that you've given a nice keyword name to, and that is stuffed with metadata for your project, and then gets injected on some of your individual pages. So that's a pretty nice little trick you could do to help give yourself just a little bit more help. And as Kim mentioned, don't forget to try and inject URLs into those images. it does get read by the search engine. So, you know, another possible way to send them in the right direction to help get your pages indexed. So we can download a video from YouTube, break it into thumbnails, throw it into OpenShot to make a new video. You could do that too. Lots of things available. Just check the licensing on the videos. Make sure they're all Creative Commons.
Are you saying that ThumbNailer produce an image URL too?
No, that's not what we said, Brian. We said that you inject a URL as some of the metadata into your images. So you saw Kim put a whole list of keywords there. One of those could be a URL, maybe 5 of them could be a URL, different URLs. You use that and inject that into your image. Any other questions?
No, that's it.
Okay. Well then, I guess what we want to do is scare everybody with the tunnel of death. And back to here. Okay, so I don't need this anymore. Don't need this anymore. All right, we're going to talk about SSL. Almost everybody's done. How does watermarking help rank the pages? It doesn't really hurt. Watermarking is more to put words onto an image to maybe be a call to action, get people to move. You need to get somebody to click somewhere. So, you know, you want to put on your image some kind of indicator of what they should be doing. Maybe a title for something, as Jenny says, branding. Yeah. Yeah,
if you don't want, if it's an image you don't want, if it's yours and you don't want somebody else stealing it from you or whatever, you can put your, like Jenny says, branding on there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Everybody's worried about trying to get this little green lock up here. I still have yet to know any people, any friends I've got that actually look for the thing. So I know Google's pushing it pretty hard, but I still don't think a lot of the actual people out there are becoming more cognizant of the fact that there is or isn't a lock on top of their screen. But it is an indicator that the search engines are looking for, so why not give it to them? Now, we have to get over a little bit of a confusion that most people have. A lot of hosting companies will give you free HTTPS certificates. This does not make your site SSL compliant. So that's what they're looking for. And what it would mean to be compliant is you can see the URL I have for this page right now. This domain has a cert, but it's not showing me HTTPS. It's not showing me the lock. Now, if I manually go in here and put https:// and hit enter, well, voila, I get the lock. But that just means I have a certificate. It doesn't mean that I'm SSL compliant. You need to be able to redirect when somebody enters in a regular domain name or a URL to one of your pages, and then it will show up with the green lock. Now, one of the other things that people think is that SSL is site-wide. It's not. It's on a page-by-page basis. So although this page could be SSL compliant, another page might not be because something on that page is not secure. It could be a link to a video. It could be a link to an image. It could be a link to another website. If that link has HTTP in it, you've just broken the security for your site, and therefore it's no longer SSL compliant on that page. So remember, we're dealing with hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of pages on some of these sites. You know, it's not just a simple job trying to make sure that every one of these things, especially when people start using the injects, you've got to be very sure of what you're putting in there is all secure, or you will stop the lock from showing. Doesn't mean your page won't get indexed. Okay, do remember that. It's not, you know, it's not death to a page. There's a lot of pages out there that are not SSL compliant and are well and fully indexed online. So don't let it worry you, but it just so that you understand the whole complexity of it all. So one site I'd like to mention to you, and it's one that I use many times, is whynopadlock.com. And of course, the padlock is the little green lock, you know, up in the top URL that we're looking to see shut, not a red one like that that's still open. And we come down here on the page. Boy, lots of advertising on here today. And we will type in here, go back and do it the easy way. And I need HTTPS. Don't forget to put the S on your site. Whoop. Both of them there. Now it's going out and it's checking that site, and it's trying to find out if, oh, I didn't click. Boy, you can tell this is live, right? Oh, great. I love these things. Wonder how many it's going to make me want to do. Oh, good, just one. Okay, now it's running. Okay, so when we look here, we can see that the test is completed. It shows I have an SSL certificate. That's great. And it shows that I am not forcing HTTPS. So I need to be able to do this. There's a little link here, more info. If we click on that, it comes up and it tells you all about what's going on. And looky, it gives us code. So all I need to do is come in here and copy that code, go into my file manager, my public HTML. There's my htaccess file. I'm going to edit this. And I'm going to put it right at the bottom. I'm going to save the changes. I'm going to come up to here again. And look at that. Automatically took me to my HTTPS and it's given me the green lock. We're done. And really, with these nice, simple little websites, that's all you have to worry about. Now, of course, you do have to remember that when you're creating your site, you need to make sure that you create it as HTTPS. If you haven't, you need to go back and regenerate to do that. But it's really simple. If I go into load project, the one I did was this one. So as you can see, I had put in the S for my OTP site destination, and not a problem was had. As soon as I changed the site or the htaccess file to redirect the site to HTTPS, all is good. So that's all there is to do in HTTPS. Plan ahead, set your site up as HTTPS. It doesn't matter if you do that and you haven't got the htaccess done, because you do have a cert in most cases. If your hosting is providing you with the cert, all those links, if they do get indexed or not before you get to the htaccess, they will still come through because you have an HTTPS certificate. But it is good to do that last little extra step with the htaccess file, because that makes it SSL compliant, and that's what the search engines are really looking for. Notice your redirect is not HTTP. No, it doesn't matter. The way Cliff is set up where that link is, it's not seen as part of the actual page. Had it been just a link on the page, it would have been a problem, but because of the way that that Phantom creates the files, as Hybrid did before, it kind of hides that, so it's not seen as breaking the chain of security.
And if you hadn't seen the other webinars where we showed how to find your htaccess, you have on the upper right of your cPanel, you have to go to settings and then click show hidden files, and then you can see the htaccess.
So up here, there's the settings button in the corner, brings this up, show hidden files. Save that, and then your htaccess file will show. Any further questions?
If I have images on a site that were uploaded from my hard drive, does it make any difference if they are not HTTPS URLs?
Well, it depends on how you're using the images. If you're using them as on the site, with like on an OTP site, and you're linking to them, and the URL you're using is not HTTPS, then yes, it will matter. Your URL must be HTTPS. So wherever you're serving those images from, it should be on a HTTPS server, or have a cert to that account.
Any other questions about anything?
Why do I need the htaccess? If you don't have the htaccess file, Brian, your OTP sites won't work. It's part of the files that are created by Phantom. It needs to be there. It's used by most systems. If you install WordPress, it has a mighty big htaccess file. Most of the important things that happen on a website can be done within the htaccess file itself. Why does I'm Not a Robot overlay cover the whole page 100%? The content in the background looks like spammy. It's not a good idea to cover that up. Well, John, for some people, they think it is a good idea. For other people, they don't. You know, it's going to be up to your own taste and what you feel works. Funny enough, one of the fellas who does Amazon had a nice image on there instead of the I'm Not a Robot one, directing people to Amazon. And he showed it to his Amazon manager, and the Amazon manager said, "Oh, look, there's a sitemap link and a legal link," and they were happy to see that up at the top. So there you are. It made Amazon feel comfortable to see those links in the corner. They didn't care about all the rest of the stuff on the side. So, you know, what you think is spammy, others think is glorious food. So it really depends on what you feel about how you want to make a presentation. I will make one mention that most of the people have started out using Phantom without covering over everything, and they're getting results. So Somebody must be clicking. It hasn't bothered some people. But I would think, like in the local market, like I was doing there, I wouldn't want to show that. On an affiliate product, I don't think I'd have any problem. So consider the audience that you're gearing your site towards, and don't try to be too picture perfect, because sometimes that just takes too much time.
Brian's lost on why I brought up the HT access. Are we dropping the SSL in there? Why did you mention this?
Why Kim mentioned that in your file manager, you need to change your settings. Otherwise, you don't see the HT access. Then you wouldn't be able to go in and edit it like I just did, so that you could add that extra code to it. If I go back into the settings now and turn it off, save, I no longer see the HT access file that was here. I can no longer edit it. I can't do anything with it. So by going up to the settings, as Kim had suggested, and doing the show hidden files, I now have access to that HT access file. Yep, that's where I put it, was in the HT access file. Any other questions?
Yeah. Kurt's asking, does Google care if the domain name used in Phantom is new?
Does Google care? Part of their algorithm is obviously going to be looking at the age of the domain, the authority of the domain. Certainly that's part of it, but this is a long-term process we're doing with OTP. We can hasten that up by getting into the expired domains realm. But in reality, it does give you a little more authority, which might, and I only say the word might, have indexing occur a little bit faster. But the whole idea is to get good content in front of their noses so that they want to show it to people. You start getting some links. That's going to be the key issue.
Okay. Ted's asking, has dozens of projects created as HTTP. What is the most expeditious way to change to HTTPS?
Okay, the most expeditious way is, as I said, wipe out what you have, regenerate as HTTPS, and re-upload. That may not be the answer you want to hear, but that's certainly the fastest way to do it. Otherwise, it's going to be, you're going to have to pull down all your pages. You're going to have to do a search and replace with something like Notepad++. Look for HTTP:// and change it to HTTPS//. And then you'll have to manually go into your files that Phantom creates, the PHP files, and do the same thing so that any new pages that get generated don't include the HTTP, and they will have the HTTPS.
Kurt is asking, can OTP include the SSL text in the HT access file?
No, because that's making the assumption that you have a cert. Not everybody's going to be putting their sites on a hosting account that has a certificate, an SSL certificate. So it's much better for you to just go ahead and do it yourself. As you saw, it's not a difficult step. There are various ways of, various code that you can actually put into your HT access. It doesn't just have to be the one I've used, but I've used that one with great success off of Why No Padlock. And so it just makes it simple and easy for me. I grab those 3 lines, stick it in the HT access, and good to go. But we have to do it. What do you have to do, Michael? Add the text to your HT access file? Okay, well, it's just like using any word processor, isn't it? You're opening up a file, changing a few words, In this case, just adding it, saving it, and you're out again. Done. Couldn't you link to Cloudflare to get SSL? You could, as long as you know how to use Cloudflare. Can Ted
just, oh, the SSL text for his sites and
Can Ted just, I'm not sure I understand the question, Kurt. Can we add the SSL text for its, oh, can Ted add, I don't know, help me out, Doug, you understand?
I'm gathering what he wants is this text that's right here. That's generated on the website. Is that what you're looking for?
Okay.
Yeah.
He was trying to answer Ted's question on how to make old sites back into new SSL sites.
There, you can add that onto the bottom. Hopefully it doesn't wreck the lines. There's only 3 lines there. Any other questions, or we're all good?
Dave's not here. Ed
Good old Ed.
makes me laugh. Jenny just left. All right, guys. Oh, Doug, is this code something that we can use on all sites, or is that just for this particular site?
No, that's something you can use on all sites. Like I say, I think you're best to go to Why No Padlock, like I did. Input your site. Doesn't matter whether it's got WordPress on it or what. And check to make sure you've got no problems on your site. There's one down here that talks about a protocol. This is just a warning. The TLS isn't going to be a bothersome thing for our sites. It could be for, I guess, especially like e-com sites. But let's just say here we go back and test again. Okay. Thought I hit that right. Maybe I got to hit this thing at the same time. Gee, I love these things. Whoever created them should be shot. Let's let it process again now that we've made the changes. Now you can see we've got the forced HTTPS coming up and its green check mark. So this just allows you to check any site. Doesn't matter whether it's HTML or WordPress. Shows you what errors you've got to go fix. Had we had links that weren't good, they would have shown up here as mixed content with a fail, because that's an absolute fail. Anytime you have a link that has HTTP on it, it's gonna fail the test.
Okay, we had one other question that's not really SSL. I thought I'd let you handle all the SSL first, and then I'm gonna.
Okay.
Somebody asked, why do we not use subdomains? You can use subdomains. There's nobody telling you that it's the wrong way. However, you have to realize that anytime you create a subdomain, Cliff tells me that Google treats that like it's a separate whole domain. So any juice you thought you were getting from the main domain, you think might be transferring to the subdomain as well. He says it doesn't work that way. They treat it as it's a brand new separate domain. So we steer people away from that. Yeah, if you just want traffic from a subdomain, sure. But if you're trying to take the juice from, say, one folder and think that it's gonna, like if you're doing several languages, for example, you would if you use folders in the domain, all the folders in that domain are going to help build the authority of that domain and help the rankings. Whereas when you do subdomains, it's not. That's Marty put it very well there. He said you get no ranking benefit from the main domain if you use subdomains. So
one of the other issues too I might bring up, because some people have suggested they want to take their money site and put OTP in 10 subdomains. That's like putting all your eggs in one basket, and so help me if you fall, everything's gone. Your money site's gone, all your OTP sites are gone, your total traffic network and money site are probably going to get kaput.
Remember, there was a reason way back when we covered it, way back in hybrid, when we covered the whole strategy of saturation of a niche. One of the biggest concepts was that we had 10 different sites from 10 different IP addresses, all sending traffic to a single money page or money site, whatever, all to the same link. If one of them doesn't index well, or Google finds one and says, boy, we hate this, we're going to de-index it. So what? You've only lost 1 out of 10. Whereas if, in the other situations that we mentioned where you could do all of them from the same place, if they decide there's something they don't like and they de-index it or they stop indexing it, well, then you're kind of all the work you've done is kind of just sitting there in limbo, not doing anything for you. Hope that makes sense. All right. Well, we're at the 1 hour point. I don't see any new questions. Okay. Somebody's asking, what's your ideas about why we're getting the white page when the page loads? Doug, you probably...
No, that's Kimmy's quiz.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody remember from last week's webinar? We went over several things why your page could be blank. Wrong folder, yeah.
The background image, the image you selected is white. We covered a lot of that in last week's under the most often it's showing you the wrong destination.
Yeah.
It's the most common. Do check your spelling on your URL in the OTP site destination field. I can't tell you how many people swear the program's bugged, and I go in there and find out they spelled a word wrong. It's an easy thing to miss, but just check it. The other one is putting it in the wrong directory in the first place.
And realize that even caps can make, in certain cases, URLs are even case sensitive. I've had a number of times when I couldn't figure out why something wasn't going to the right place and everything's spelled correctly, but yet in one place I capitalized it and in another I did not. Can someone write a mind map somewhere in the future of the layout of how project run should be, can be set over several domains request?
Well, we have a diagram. There's a PDF link below the webinar, the niche domination webinar, the first one we did over in the forum.
Yeah.
And also, if you go to your tutorials and for Phantom, there's a PDF guide there that also has a diagram there.
All right, so let's wrap it up, and thanks for being here, and we'll meet back over in the room, and you guys have a great night.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate it.